Okay, it is 9 o'clock on Monday, November 26, 2018, and I call the Potter County Commission to order. Today we have Bo Williams, of Opportunity Fellowship, who will give the invocation, so if you please stand and remain standing for the praise.
Lord, we thank you for a beautiful day, that your face shines upon us today. And Lord, as always, we come to you first thing and ask you to lead, guide, and direct us. We ask for your wisdom. We trust that every decision made will be for the betterment of our city. I thank you for these leaders who serve us, and we ask you, Lord, to bless all the proceedings of this court today. It's in your name we pray.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, before we start today, I feel compelled to say a few words about the courtroom decorum. In the past year or so, it's gotten a little bit out of hand. And so I want to remind you all that if you want something on the agenda, you must go to me or a commissioner to get it on there, with the exception of Carrie and Kay and Leanne. Correct? I think everybody else needs to do the correct thing and go through one of us to be your sponsor, to sponsor that item to get on the agenda, okay? Secondly, it has come painfully clear that there has been some days it seems like a circus in here. From now on, there will be no standing and hollering from your chair or sitting and hollering from your chair. If you want to address the court, you will raise your hand. I will call on you, you will come to the podium, and you will speak to us like we are humans, judge and commissioner. We will treat you the same way, I promise. So we just need to have that understanding, because lately it has turned into a little bit of a circus. So I demand your respect, and you will get it back. Okay, any questions? Okay, now let's begin. First thing on the agenda is recognition of minutes. To recognize the minutes from the November 12, 2018 Commissioners Court meeting and the November 19 Special Commissioners Court meeting. Is there any changes or? So, number 2, budget amendments. To consider and act upon approving budget amendments for the 2017-2018 fiscal year.
This is just the closeout from our last fiscal year. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to address them.
Carrie, I do have a couple of questions. A couple of transfers, it looks like, for the district courts, for, is it education, travel, and uniforms? I didn't know if there were specifics, since it was 2 courts. Want to make sure we budgeted appropriately for this year.
On 108, we're actually taking money out of the education and putting it into the general operating expenses. And the main reason for that is we had more jury bills and stuff than we anticipated at that court. And on 251st, we're having to move money out of education into the salaries for extra help, because we had an employee leave, and this is basically vacation pay.
And then on page 2, the Fund 250, taking out of contract services and putting into capital outlay.
Yes, this was for the tower out of JP.
Okay. Thank you.
I move we approve the budget amendments as presented. Sir.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Raise your hand. 5-0. Number 3, vouchers. To consider and act upon the approval of the payment of vouchers processed by the county auditor's office for the period November 7 to November 21, 2018. Check numbers 183-197, 3183381, and wire transfers 1161 through 1163, in the amount of $865,334.60.
approve the vouchers, as stated by the county judge. Give up $65,000.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. 5-0. Thank you. Number 4, insurance report. Okay.
Good morning. There's nothing unusual that hasn't been discussed on this insurance report. I believe on the 11/16 Texas Association of Counties Weekly Claims Run for $109,964.32. That includes the high claim that our
Okay, I was gonna ask.
Yes.
Kate, question, not directly tied to insurance fund, but has the wellness committee,
We are gonna meet early next month.
okay,
We have a date set, I believe the 5th.
okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Number 5, treasurer's report. Leanne. Good morning.
Okay, this morning, Intermodal National Bank, we're earning 2.45, and we have $6,293,448.20. And tax pull is 2.19%, with $409,421.70. Taxable prime is earning 2.40, with $10,305,677.39, and Texas class earning 2.44, and we have $4,786,014.76. So our total cash this morning is $21,794,562.05.
Leanne, are you planning to make any moves to Texas class or A and B with the higher points, since we've got 10 million sitting in prime at 2.40?
Right, right now, I'm not moving anything because, tax dollars will start coming in and we'll start changing and seeing where to put as those dollars come in. So I'm just kind of holding right now. I want to keep A and B open, so when those deposits come in, that we have the cloud to cover that.
And there's one that always competes with A and B, maybe it's Texas class I'm thinking of, they're always around the same.
It's taxable prime, and, well, our Texas class can come, they fluctuate, but right now, Texas class is just pretty close. But A and B will generally stay a point or two above.
Thank you. Sure.
For you, of course, Judge, want to go back to the insurance, for this minute, regards to wellness, just, serves on that committee.
It's a large, I'm sorry.
Does any of the courts serve on that committee?
I don't believe so. It's a large, committee with constituency across the county.
I'd like to be added on that committee.
Can you add one more?
We sure can. I'll be sending out a reminder soon. And I will make sure that you're on the list.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 6, tiers number 1, to hear a report from Andrew Freeman on the tiers 1 regarding its approval of the 70% property tax rebate annually for 10 years and a $35,000 street scale improvement for 300 Southwest 10th Avenue, and take any action necessary. Mr. Freeman, how are you today?
Good morning, thanks
He
for
has a
having
new
me.
baby, Judge.
You have a new baby. Congratulations.
Why do you look so tired?
Thank you for having me this morning. My name again is Andrew Freeman with the City of Amarillo. I'm here representing the Center City Tiers Board of Directors, tier number 1. For the ordinance that established that tiers, one of the requirements is any bills that are approved by the board come to the county first for comment before they go to city council, so that's what I'm here for today. On November 8th, the board of directors considered requests for tiered incentives associated with 300 Southwest 10th, which is a commercial development project. The former automotive service station was originally built in 1927, was the last used as a fabrication shop. The applicant, DHY Enterprises, purchased the building in May of 2015 and so far spent $250,000 on acquisition, roof replacement, preparing for the renovations of the building. The proposed project consists of a little over 9,300 square feet of commercial space divisible into up to 7 units, ranging in sizes from 1,300 to 1,400 square feet. It could also be combined with larger spaces. His intent is to market it for office, commercial, retail, restaurant type uses. The property is located at the northwest corner of Southwest 10th Avenue and South Harrison, directly adjacent to the Old Amarillo Club news office. The project includes a little over excuse me, 1.2 million of total construction costs, including almost 70,000 toward the public streetscape installation that's required as part of the project. And the redevelopment and structure meets the goals of the downtown strategic action plan by developing commercial square footage within the tiered boundary. Tiered assistance in the form of property tax rebate and grant funding was requested due to the extreme disrepair the facility has fallen into. The developer has already replaced a roof to stop a major leak while preparing for the renovations of the property. And as such, tiered participation is consistent with the policy goals of the tiers project financing plan. The applicant originally requested during the meeting 97,000 in grant funds and 95,000 in tax rebates over the 10-year time period. The tiers board took action on a 70% reimbursement to manually commit instead of the what was most likely 90% over that 10 years. And they also approved a single contribution for public improvements of 35,000 to go toward the project. The base year currently valued for this year is 106,000 is what's currently on the tax rolls. We estimate if it were to be on the tax rolls for around 650,000 over 10 years, if you don't adjust for tax rates or value increases, that'd be almost 50,000 in tax rebate over that time frame. And the tiers would receive 20,000 in that same period back to it. As you know, the board has recently changed its policy to move away from those 90% rebate deals that you've seen in the past, unless it means high priority projects like grocery or residential that the downtown area is missing. So this is the first request we considered since that change. The board, for historical perspective, approved 10 of the rebates since about 2008. All those were at 90% at either 10 years or 20 years. Some of them had caps or no caps. And then the $35,000 grant in comparison is also somewhat on the low end compared to previous years that most likely were 50,000. But we did see a budget reduction in that community projects line item. So the board took that into consideration when approving the streetscape amount. That's just a high-level overview of the project. I'd be happy to take any questions, and the applicant, Jeremy Young, is also here in the audience if you have any specific questions about his project.
I do have a couple questions. So Andrew, I'm just trying to make sure I'm following the math. So you roughly, 50,000 is what you referenced on the 70% tax abatement?
For over 10 years.
For over 10 years.
Including tax rates go up.
Okay. And then a $35,000 one-time grant specifically for the streetscape?
Yes, and it's reimbursed after the project's complete.
Okay. And then I'm assuming it's following the same downtown design standards for the streetscape. How does this tie with the economic incentive policy of the city? Like, are there other incentives that will be added onto that?
No, this would be the only one considered unless they go to Center City Main Street and may be considered for a facade or streetscape grant.
Okay.
But no, there wouldn't be any other city-related
Okay.
incentives. We still haven't quite gotten that policy adopted yet. Looking at the matrix that was drafted in that, this would be just a rung lower than the lowest one, because it didn't hit the level of investment that we were considering on that matrix, and this kind of gives us a good idea. Maybe we need to tweak that a little bit, just based on projects we're going to see. If there needs to be another level there for maybe less than a certain amount.
I do have a couple questions for Mr. Young, if I may. And he sits on tiers too, so it feels odd to be on the other end here. So we'll put Jeremy a bit. So Jeremy, for the property, it looks like you guys acquired it around 2 years ago, roughly 2 or 3 years ago.
2.5 years ago.
Is this what you had, like, when you envisioned the property, was turning this into this type of retail style, kind of front end?
Not necessarily. We wanted to renovate the property and transform it from a dilapidated warehouse into something that's useful. It's adjacent to other property that we own and use. And it's kind of an eyesore, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've looked at a couple of different uses from office space and some other ideas. The restaurant someone brought to us. Ultimately, we decided that until we bring it into some sort of
a condition that other people find attractive and give it some curb appeal, we're not gonna get anything done. And so the building lays out in such a way that it lends itself well to restaurant, retail, or some sort of office space, and so that's sort of the direction that we're going. And I think with that location and parking that's available, those uses are probably the highest and best as well.
Are there any other partners that own any percentage of this company? And let me preface kind of some of my comments. One of the things I always watch in terms of incentives, we want to be mindful if the same 4 or 5 people are the ones always getting the incentives. So to my knowledge, is this the first incentive you've asked for on some of your property?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and I didn't know if you had any other ownership underneath the company name. That's always the gray area, right? The company and any owners underneath it.
The building is owned by DHY Enterprises. It's a limited liability company owned 100% by myself and my wife.
Thank you, Judge.
Well, of course, Pat and I serve on that Pierce board. And we heard the request and had a long discussion, and we think that this award is very worthy. We're anxious to see the project.
Thank you.
I have one more question. The building right next to you is the old Globe News Distribution. What's gonna happen with that? Anybody know?
No one knows
I
for
mean,
sure.
it's not in use right now because the paper is pretty.
Right, and I think they relocating staff is actually to the tower now.
I would hope that something's gonna happen with that space.
We've actually sat in on meetings with the ownership. They're kind of keeping an eye on how things go, but they are being proactive on what they want to see done. So I don't think it's gonna sit there for a long
Because you
time.
wanna talk about eyesore.
Yeah, so I think they'll consider options and
Okay.
see something happen.
I hate to see one looking so good and then right next door, so.
Yeah, I think this project will help
Okay,
spur
good.
more over.
And the only other comment I have, not directly related to this project, but Commissioner Church, when the county entertained the green space for the parking lot, one of my asks was to ask if Tiers 1 had dollars, because green space is one of the primary objectives. And so the dialogue was, there's no dollars there. So I was surprised to actually see an incentive coming through, not directly tied to Mr. Young's project, but that green space in particular, trying to remember what we spent on that, but I had hoped that there would be an ask to Tiers 1 to potentially help for that, since it was one of the primary objectives of that plan. So not directly tied to this, but just wanted to bring that up as well.
Generally, that's for a streetscape and not for lawns and things. Those types of projects, which I don't think the Tiers board has done.
Yeah, it's a gap, I know, from what the original plan was. The original downtown study is a primary objective to look for some of those green space. So I think the fact that we being the county took the initiative to help put some in
Yeah.
primary locations, I hope there would be dollars there, so.
And besides, it's supposedly temporary.
Yeah, it's just
John, do you have any potential customers for that? Do you have any potential customers, anybody?
And we've had a lot of people kicking the tires, but the way the building sits, it needs a complete redo on all electrical, gas, sewer, everything's got to be redone. So most of the people that come by who have an interest want to know how quickly they can move in, and when I say, well, probably a year from now, they look elsewhere. So we're hoping to change that by getting the rough end done for all of the utilities and the exterior, the facade renovated.
What's a turnkey? When do you think it would be done?
We hope to have the exterior at least done in what my contractor calls a vanilla box on the inside for tenants late next year, around this time, hopefully next year.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Do we need to take any action? Number 7, neighborhood planning, to recognize quarterly reports from the city of Amarillo regarding county funds contributed to the neighborhood project.
Judge, I can take a little bit of this, and then Carrie, please feel free to chime in, but Carrie and I did meet with the financial team at the city of Amarillo to ask for the quarterly reports. It had been a while, and in the agreement, there is language that we would get a quarterly report. So a couple of these are updates. Michelle assured us that we'll continue to get these quarterly, but there is a whole page recap that I found very helpful, and we did have a working session, a conference call with them to talk through that, so I won't go into too much detail unless there's questions, and Carrie, feel free to add to that.
The memo pretty much covers it.
Did our, 2 payments this fall not make quarterly report? Because we should have 4 years of payment.
Right, and they did make a note of that, over it is, but because we didn't have it until October, it's the way that says.
September and June.
So we should have 300,000 in there.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
So recognize number 8, approval of web hosting agreement to consider and act upon renewing the agreement between Potter County and the County Information Resources Agency, CIRA, for website hosting services. Sarah, you gonna take this one too? Or Kay, you want to?
This is just the company that hosts our county website. We have to renew the contract every year. The price is going up a little bit. It's the first time we've actually seen an increase in the almost 5 years we've been on the website.
Do we just use the website host, or do we do the email too?
It's just the hosting.
Just the website?
The only thing I might add, Katie, is, and correct me, because this is what we talk about in our monthly meetings. The website itself is undergoing an overhaul, if you will. So the idea behind it is to be more mobile friendly, which sometimes can go the opposite direction, because when you're looking at the actual internet, then it's really hard to find just on your actual PC. So I say all that to say, please log in if you have questions. I know even just the main page, there was a picture change. I said, I know the judge is gonna want a different image of the courthouse. So I encourage you guys to go in there, look around. If you want changes, please just email Katie or Brandon, so we can make those changes.
Yeah, we try to keep the content on the website as updated as possible, but we need the help of all the departments to look at that and help us with it, so.
Okay, thank you, Kate.
I make a motion that we approve the agreement between Potter County and the County Information Resource Agency, CIRA, for website hosting services.
So,
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 5-0, thank you. Number 9, official bonds of county officers, to recognize and approve official bonds of county officers.
Okay, so far I have, I've received, and y'all really don't have to, we've always just in the past just kind of recognized them, just so we make record of them in commissioner court minutes. So I have the bond of, just JP, Justice of the Peace 1, Debbie Dorn, Justice of the Peace 4, Thomas Jones, and Justice of the Peace Precinct 2, Robert Taylor. So those are just for recognition.
What are their amounts?
Their amounts are $5,000 and they are payable to the county judge. You don't get that many. So if y'all, well, I guess we'll just kind of take these separately. And so if you will recognize those 3 bonds, and I've checked them, they're all signed and they've done what they're supposed to do.
Just recognize only, just to recognize those?
Yeah, because they really don't have to be recognized, but it's just a formal, just so we'll have them in the record.
Okay, so they've already done theirs.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so recognized. So what else, everybody else
Okay,
is on?
so then the other bond that we have is, Commissioner Bond. Did we tell them what your middle name is?
Oh, yes,
Did I
please.
tell
Sammy.
Sammy.
Samuel?
Oh, well, okay.
It's
So
very
they-
different.
So they have it as Sandy.
Exactly.
It is, oh, okay. I'll take
Samuel
mine
sounds much
later.
more prestigious.
Yes. So he has presented his bond and it's payable to the Potter County Treasurer for $3,000. So that does need to be recognized as well, and then it'll be approved by the county judge. Okay? So it's just recognized. The next thing that y'all need to do is set the bond for the county judge. And she actually has 2 bonds. Ted, if you wanna, Scott? Okay, so if I mess up, let me know. So the county judge is supposed to have 2 bonds now. And I don't know if they can do that, like the whole bond together, but it says an amount set by Commissioners Court of not less than 1,000 nor more than 10,000 on the first bond. And then the additional requirements is that the county judge must execute a bond of not less than 100,000 in a county with a population of 125,000.
That's for the owner guardianship. too.
Yes.
Probate.
Yeah.
Right.
Is there a no greater than amount on that? On the
Yeah.
second one? The
No, it
100,000?
just says
It just
not
says
less than
Not
1,000.
less than 1,000.
And what was for the first time, was it 10,000, and then we did the guardianship and the probate thing later?
Right.
It was it for 100?
I'm sorry, was it
Was
what?
it for 100,000?
I believe that's
I
right.
think so, I think it's just the minimum. So we need somebody to set that bond.
Scott, what would your recommendation be on the first bond, the no less than 1,000 and no greater than 10,000 for the county judge?
Well, the initial bond, the 1,000, 5,000, is similar to those set for the commissioners. It's simply to ensure faithful execution of official duties. So the minimum has worked in the past. I see no reason why that would work at this point.
So 1,000?
But do you think, Judge, that you would be bonded less than a commissioner at 3,000?
Or would not?
Because Commissioner bond is 3,000, if I heard that
That's
correctly.
certainly within your discretion as well.
I just, in terms of consistency.
I think it ought to be the same.
There's a lot to be said for consistency.
Of course there is. So 3,000?
Do we need that in a motion, Julie?
Yes.
I make a motion that we set the county judge bond for 3,000.
Can you go ahead and do the other bond too, or is that just a no-brainer?
I'll do it in a second motion, then maybe. Okay, I have a
And you
motion,
second? All in favor?
And then I make a motion to set the second bond requirement for the county judge for 100,000.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? 5-0. Okay.
Okay, and then one other, thing that we need to look at or discuss are the bonds of myself and the district clerk. And so historically, in the past, and I'll probably need some guidance from Scott, but y'all have always opted to self-insure us. We've never had to go over and get a bond, so I don't know if that's still what y'all want to continue to do. Carrie did check with the bonding company, and she got the amounts of what it would actually cost to go over and get the bonds. So it's really just up to you guys. Caroline's been, both of us have always been self-insured, so have a new clerk coming on board, and, it's up to you guys. I don't think there's any.
Any arguments of going away from that, what we've done?
Yeah, what are the pros and cons of that, Scott, of the self-insured, since we have a new elected official coming in for the district courts
Right.
seat?
It simply gives you all greater control. The fact of the matter is, in the modern era, it allows you, bonds are something of a vestige. They don't really account for the current state of the law with regard to potential liabilities of an office holder, particularly clerks who, better than half of their duties are probably going to receive judicial immunity anyway. But it gives you greater control, going self-insured, over the terms and conditions, gives you some cost management in case the bonding company decides that they take a hit elsewhere and you can pass it on. Increased use, just like any other insurance, because a bond is simply insurance.
So you think self-insured may still be the way to go for the two?
Yeah, I've seen
cities?
no reason that has not worked well for the county.
So it would be 3 positions?
I'm sorry, no, just,
County treasurer?
no, not
No,
county
just
treasurer, no,
clerks.
county,
Just
just
the
the county
clerks.
and district clerks.
Do you need that in the motion, Julie?
Yes, please.
So, make a motion to approve the self-insurance of the county clerks.
County and district clerks.
Excuse me, county clerk, district clerk.
Mhm. and then I'll bring back anything else.
What about the treasurer? We have to talk about that, right?
Y'all don't set it or anything, she just
Okay.
is supposed to,
It is, Dodge, stay right there, okay, good.
It's already prepared, I'm waiting for the check that's in today's check run, I'll hand carry it to them, and so it'll be on the agenda for
Okay.
next report.
And then what about the CCL 1 and 2? They just go do it, then they bring it to court, correct?
That we've been in communication with them, but I don't know that they've gotten any of that material in yet.
so I was just reading something this morning, it says that the bond must be payable to the treasurer of the county in amount set by commissioners court. So it's not less than 1,000, no more than 10,000, and then the judges who have the, additional probate jurisdiction, they also come under that purview of the
Which
additional
will be
bond.
both of them, named under jurisdiction.
So y'all want to go ahead and set those today, and then that way they can go over to.
That'd probably be useful
I
for
think
them,
that
so
would
they
be
know.
very
Yeah.
much helpful to them.
What were their amounts last time?
I think, I think it was 10,000?
That sounds right.
I think it was 10,000, I think I looked it up in the, or that's what I remember seeing in our records.
Okay.
That sounds right.
So we confident that, that's the number that we're gonna
And then they will also have to have that additional $100,000 bond since they fall under
Right.
the probate jurisdiction.
I make a motion that we approve county court at law 1 and 2 bond limit for 10,000 for the first bond and 100,000 for the second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor? Okay, all right, thank you. Okay. Number 10, amendment to policies and procedures to consider and act upon the approval of proposed amendments to the Charter County Policies and Procedure Manual regarding annual accrual of sick leave and vacation. Okay.
And there is a revision on our desk.
Yes.
So this is the one you need a reference for the vacation.
For the
time.
vacation,
Okay.
yes, in reviewing that this morning, realized that we need a revision to cover part-time employees appropriately.
Okay,
This is just a follow-up on last court, related to the 10-hour workday employees. I did look at these, and I don't see a problem with the new wording. I think it worked well.
my only concern, Tad, is, so the original language was, the word accrue, you will accrue sick leave, and then the revised language is you will be credited. My only kind of reaction to that small language change is, this isn't, we don't pay this out if an employee leaves. And so the word credited to me, gave an impression that we might, that was just my reaction to it. I don't know if there was a reason why that word was used.
I would counter that accrued carries more of an implication that
There's a payout.
they vested a right that
Okay.
will result in payment than simply crediting, which means that's how much you have to use.
Okay, that's fair.
Is there any way at all that we could possibly consider people that have been here over 20 years to get more time off? Because there are a few out there that have been here.
That's up to you.
That's what I would,
I mean, other big companies do it. I mean, if you've been there 25, 30 years, you
Yeah,
you get more than 20 days off.
That's
I mean, you
entirely
should.
within the commissioner's court's discretion.
Okay. Mr. Coffey.
fact, most companies would implement it in 10, 15
Yeah.
years.
Yes, sir.
I actually was working on proposing myself for that. I talked to the county clerk and also the very heavily project for the talked to the county sheriff's office and I talked to the police department, get some figures here. Probably a presentation, I'd like to consider that. In fact,
Okay.
the police department does compensate the employees towards a medical, payout. I mean, it's not actually a check. You don't get a check from the county, but you get payments towards your insurance at retirement. And there is a 20-year or 10-year or 30-year consideration. So
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the sick leave because we did that once when I almost went broke.
well, that's what the police
Okay.
department said. That's what Broward County's doing. Maybe I could bring that to the sponsors.
Okay, so it's already being worked on now. Okay.
I'd like to, everybody step up project, so I talked to you about, I talked to the Jewish folk about it as well, and everybody else needs to participate, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, do we need to,
I move we approve the amendment to our approval of sick leave policy as presented, as well as approval of vacation leave as presented.
second, all in favor, raise your hand.
With the court's information that we approved it, I will rework the version that's in the policy procedure manual, get that, Brandon, and so that it's posted on the.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna skip number 11 for now, and go to number 12, jail position contract to consider for approval of proposed jail position contract with Paul Jude. Sheriff.
Good morning. The contract is, just been changed due to Dr. Lacy's passing. The only thing that changed in there was the name. I mean, they basically went through there and changed out Dr. Lacy.
Okay, so it's the very same.
There's one section in there about payment, on the insurance. It was in the same one from before, and there's cost of professional liability insurance we share by the counties involved, but she's involved with them.
So you're comfortable with Dr.
Yeah, he's
How do you say his last name? Joe. Not Jude.
And the amount is 50,000 annually? I just assumed that was in the.
It's the same, you know, whether it goes over.
Carrie, where does that fall in the budget? Is it under medical service line item in the sheriff budget? Okay.
We recently just gave Dr. Lacy a raise, correct?
For the
First time in 17 years. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we need a motion on this one.
Move to approve the proposed jail position contract with Dr. Paul.
Second?
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 5-0. Thank you. Number 13, donation of surplus property to consider for approval or request from sheriff and purchasing agent that surplus radios in their possession be donated to Randolph County Mountain Search and Rescue, a civic search and rescue organization operating in various jurisdictions, including Amarillo and Pottle County. Sheriff, who wants to talk about that?
These are the radios that we got rid of when we went to our new system. Motorola has absolutely, they won't use Watercom anymore. They all want options anyways. And that's what they could have them, and we turn them over to Tad and Sheriff.
Okay. Good morning.
Morning, how are you? My name is Lonnie Hoagland, and I'm the assistant marshal for the Randolph County Search and Rescue Team. We currently have 16 members in our team. We're a nonprofit organization. We offer our services to any law enforcement agency in the Panhandle. We have done many searches in the Panhandle to this date, including the one behind the Kiva Hotel where the young lady drowned there. Been in Canadian 4 times. I can't name all of them that we've been to, but we have been going around to each sheriff's department, visiting with them and offering our service to them and telling them what we can do. We've been trained in crime prevention by the Randolph County Sheriff's Department. We are trained in medical, AED, CPR by the Randolph County Fire Department. And like I said, at this time, we have 16 members, and they range from 20 years old to 70. We are mounted. We do a great job. We can search for evidence or anything that the sheriff's department needs us to do, and we are offering our services to do that.
So these, we have plenty of the radios, right? We have more than enough.
These are the old ones.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have.
Are they gonna be workable out
Yeah,
there
that was my question.
for you guys?
Well, I spoke to Mr. Sadler, and he was pretty confident that he could get them to work. So there's 3 car radios and 30 handhelds.
And is that what you're requesting is the handheld? Are you requesting 16 of the handheld?
No, ma'am, we're requesting 25 to 30 because we are growing. We have members that all the time coming up wanting to join our club. And, we have to train, we make sure everybody is trained, that the horses are trained, that they are able to go on a search. Now, we have several that we will not allow in under game, but we do have several that can search down there, and we have done many searches in that location.
And so what do you use now in the absence of radios?
We have 12 radios at this time, but they are line of sight radios. And by that, I mean, if we're on the flat ground, we can communicate with each other pretty well. If we get in rough country like Palo Canyon, they don't reach the repeaters that they need to reach. The radios that we're asking for, there's several repeaters down there that they can bounce off of, and it will give us better communication.
Is Randall County donating any?
Ma'am?
Is Randall County donating any radios as well?
They are going to the new system late in August of next year, and, we're just trying to get ahead of everything, and we appreciate anything that you can do for us.
Thank you for your service. It's been easy.
So we'll get all 30 of them to you? Good, okay.
Car radios.
That's good.
Gary, I do have a question on the Motorola contract. Was there, I thought I remember a line item of a credit that we would get for any turned in, but maybe not. I don't know if we're forfeiting any credits is the only thing I'm trying to remember. It's been many years now.
I don't recall anything on the radios, not the airbags.
Is there anything you can think of that we're missing on the revenue side or?
I'll make a motion to approve the, giving of these radios to mounted, people.
Search and rescue.
Search and rescue.
Okay.
Second the motion.
Have a second? All in favor, raise your hand. 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 14, District Court's building to consider for further action and proposal received from HOK Architects for conceptual design services for a new Hardin County District Court's building. This is, something that I have been wanting to do for quite some time now, and I've talked to Jeff Bradley with HOK. He came to see me, and we talked about this at length, and, he is an expert in the field of courthouses. And I trust him, and so he's going to give us a drawing of, just a drawing of what he expects for us to like, not like. Various, different floor plans for it all, so we just need to approve this, but today to pay him for the services, just to begin with and see what we're looking at. I thought he was gonna be.
How was he, that company?
Well, I know him personally, because he used to work with Larry Ersick, and they have parted ways. And this guy has a resume like nobody else, I've never seen anything like it, he specializes in courthouses. And Nicholas and I talked to him, I think he's talked to DQ here, and he's really good at what he does, and so it's not gonna hurt to look at the rendering of it, the drawing, and just see what he does.
So since it's under, oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying, since it's under 50,000, it doesn't trigger the need to go out for
Exactly.
the bidding process.
That's what I looked at first.
That's my question. But even with that, is there a need for maybe a little bit more full transparency here? Looking at more than just one.
Not for now. You want to add that?
Well, I was envisioning that with the agenda item, moving forward, I was envisioning that he might be invited to address the clerk directly before we sign off. the
That's
contract.
fine too, he's willing to do that.
But you may want to meet him before you sign off.
Yeah, that would be
Everybody's
good.
ready. Don't let him get it. He'll be ready for it. So, do we need to do that again instead of?
The item.
Hey, Judge, where do you have this 45,000 slated in the budget? Is it a capital projects line item where it comes from? Karen? Yeah, she said capital project. Yes, we have 500,000 budgeted for this type of service. And then the only other thing I would add, Judge, is we did I would say a very comprehensive study, as you know, of the district court building. And Scott, I remember we've had dialogue over the years of, well, does the county own that product at the end? I mean, we were down to square footage, and so we landed that yes, it was our renderings, right? So whatever direction we move in towards, I think it would behoove us to look at that same study, because that cost us, a pretty
And
penny.
we are.
Many years ago.
However, there's been some different dynamics added to it now, so. And he was a part of that.
Yes.
He was a part of that, so. So do we need to wait?
Well,
till this
certainly,
year?
no, I don't think you need, I don't think you have to, but if you're satisfied that you know this company well enough to sign off on the proposal, that would be fine, we can do that.
Usually more
Well,
than
I
happy
don't,
to-
I don't feel like I know them, but I guess on political, no, I think the timing is kind of interesting in that now that elections are over for a couple of years, it's gonna end up like the sheriff's administration building. It's commissioners 1 and 3 that have to take the brunt of the political capital. And so that's fine. I think we're tough enough to take it. But,
Can the officers
you know,
know what that means, Commissioner?
what's the mean?
Yes.
Well, your election just happened. And the same thing happened when we did the sheriff's
Okay,
department.
okay, I'm following.
Building. And so precinct 1 and precinct 3 commissioners then took the heat for approving it. And of course, 2 years later, all that heat has cooled off, so it's just, I think the timing is interesting. So, but and I don't know this
It
company.
was not intended to be that way. We just got through with the law enforcement, and now it's time to move on to something else. I didn't even think about the
Something
timing.
like that.
No, it's, and you know that I've supported the law enforcement center wholeheartedly. But it's, there is political capital to lose.
So you suggesting we could maybe put on the radar?
No, I don't think we ought to go ahead, but I would never support it unless we go out for a bond election. I'll say that. Let the people decide.
Okay.
So we'll be back to, conferencing the judge of, non-vetting of this individual, just, moving forward with.
Let's put it this way, I feel good enough to know that he is so good at what he does, that, and we can all obviously go out for bid, but we have to, but I think this is a really good candidate.
So Judge, in this proposal, renderings, you're looking for the high level. If
Right.
this proposal is very specific to the high level. And then we talk about the dollars, obviously what something like that might cost, and then Commissioner Church, to your point, what that strategy would potentially look like, whether it's, to the vote or the COs, which we've traditionally done. Then we would have to go out for all of our normal bidding processes. All of that still triggers.
Yeah.
Okay, so just, you're asking for the high level rendering to
All
start
I'm
the
asking.
discussion.
That's all I'm asking.
Right, make a motion that we approve, the proposal presented by the county judge from HOK Architects for conceptual design services only in the amount of $45,000, funds to come from capital projects in the budget.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed?
Abstain. I just don't feel I know this is a company well enough.
Okay, 4-0-1. Number 15, contract for lead removal at Sheriff's Firing Range to consider for approval of contract with Metal Treatment Technologies, LLC, for removal of lead shot residue from Sheriff's Firing Range. Sheriff, I thought we already did
I
this.
thought the same thing, Judge.
We talked about Harry getting the lead out, just not.
Obviously, the last time we were up here was about the brass.
Oh, okay.
We're in collection. This is going to actually take the lead out of the burns that we shoot into for the last 100 years. I think the police department did this, and they've only been using that range for 10 years. And got over 100,000 pounds of lead.
How do they do that? How do they do it?
That's not my expertise.
It's kind of like panning for gold. They're in machinery, and they scoop the dirt up in the machine, sort it out, and the dirt out, the rocks out, and that out, separate them out. Some of it's water-based, help wash it out, because the lead's heavier.
It's like mining.
But what happens to the burn then? You have to rebuild it?
Yeah, so once they get all the lead reclaimed, the dirt separated, they'll bring it back and put it back on the burners and repack it, just leave it away, because they put it back on.
Bunch of couple of
The
welds.
county was to go out and try to do this until, we're talking a lot of dollars.
That's a process.
So we get paid for this lead, or?
So basically what the company that we're looking at is ETG in Colorado. They have a $6,000 upfront cost, bringing machinery in here, we set up. After their base 60,000 pounds is what they're estimating. They think we can get between 25 and 40 tons out of it. The 60,000s are cut off after 60,000, they have a 50-50 split with the client on the remaining lead, based on the price at that time on the London market.
So they get some of the profit from it. Okay.
But we also need half of that. And two things with that, the $6,000 will come out of our range account to help costs. But what we would like to do is be able to get your approval to put that $6,000 back once we get paid from them. But instead of, and once we take that, then any remaining money, what we'd like to do is have them build our burns up with the dirt that we have out there. And that's one of the things that we're talking to them about. And we've got a lot of dirt out there from our construction. We want to build those burns up, as you know, we shoot towards Highway 60 out there, and that's always been a concern. Over the years, they have gone down quite a bit, just from the weather. So that's what we're going to use the money for, that we can back up and just to pay them to do that.
Yes, I mean, that's the goal is spending what they get total out of there.
We believe we may get quite a bit of money out of that deal. I don't think they realize, well, I'm sure they know how long it's been there.
Is this the first time, Sheriff, that you're doing that on the burn?
I've
been here 30 years, it's never been done, I know it. 30 years.
It's never been done, I've been here more than 30 years. Put a few rounds in that. Put a few rounds in there myself.
Why is it not been done before? It's good to see your.
I think it may be a new concept, to be honest with you, with these companies that are doing that. I mean, they're making money off the land. You know, those firms have been out there since the war, I mean, that army base out there, so it's the same range that they use, so they've been telling what's out there.
I approve to,
If we can, like I said, just as long as we can take that 6,000 back and put it back into that range account, so we don't have to just send it straight to them.
Sounds good. Thank you.
move to approve the contract with Metal Treatment Technologies LLC to remove the lead shot residue from the sheriff's fire range, and we put the 6,000.
Into the range account.
And have the 6,000 return to the range. Get that done?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 5-0. All right, number 16, cooperation agreement with WTAMU to consider for approval a memorandum of understanding between West Texas A&M University and the Potter County Detention Center for Nursing Student and Faculty Access to the Detention Medical Services Department for educational, observational purposes.
Just another way of, as one likes to use, thinking outside the box.
I love it, very
This
refreshing.
is something that, WT came to us and they want to take their third-year medical students or nursing students and put them in, we only have one or two, it's only 2 days a week, we'll have them for the semester and they'll be working with our RN. Gives them another view of what's going on out there besides in the hospital or nursing. Correctional nursing has really become a big deal, and so they're excited to be a part of it, and we're excited to get the extra help, plus it gives us a tool to search them.
Do they know what they're in for?
It moves pretty quickly.
Sheriff, the only thing I saw, this looks like their kind of cookie cutter contract that they just ship over. The only thing I saw missing that I thought of because of the nature of the jail is that, some language about the students adhering to Potter County employment policies. You know, they're very new students, they're new to the workplace, and some of the things that they may see out there, you know,
We will have an orientation.
okay.
That's our, we do that with them.
So they'll go through the normal employee orientation, you guys, okay.
I move we approve the memorandum of understanding between WTAMU and the Potter County Detention Center for nursing students and facility access to the detention center.
Second?
I have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Good job thinking outside the box, Sheriff.
Employment items to consider and act on following employment items, facilities maintenance, new employment of Nicholas. Nick, can you find another Nicholas? You do, okay. Nicholas Hartman as mechanic technician 1 is replacing for Larry Allen, effective December 1, 2018. And elections determination of Linda Humphrey as temporary deputy. Election cycle is over, effective 1/9, 2018. And from the elections department, termination of Jennifer Pope as elections deputy effective November 8, 2018.
I move we approve the employment items as presented.
Second?
Motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 5-0. Potter County projects, is there anything you want to discuss today?
I think I probably need to,
Besides the elevators?
now, that's, well, can't really give you an update on that, because I don't understand what we're doing, we have a technician on the way. The district courts, I don't know what you call it, just, I guess the state that we're in, there's a couple of large charges that are gonna come through, probably catch y'all's eyes. In the past 30 days, we spent $15,700 on repairs. It's not that we're trying to rebuild it, we're trying to keep it going until something happens. So, we had to get refrigerant with the chiller, and we're 3 updates behind on refrigerant. We're still using R11. That was done away with basically when that was put in. So it's pretty costly, the refrigerant is.
So why are we behind?
It was just never updated. I don't know why the chiller was retrofitted, you know, to go to the newer refrigerant. So, and now it would be cost effective to update it and then move forward with it. You know, it would just cost too much. So, we also had to get a shaft seal repaired and a few other components on that chiller because it has to be running efficiently to get us through another summer, maybe 2, you know, however long they have to have a working building. So those items you'll see coming through probably the next report. So just kind of want to give you all the heads up on that. What was going on?
I do have a question on the law enforcement center, the, exterior, I know I'm not gonna call the panels the right thing.
The panels, that's
The
what I call
panels,
them.
okay. Is there an update on that? I know that was one of the outstanding items?
We have a walkthrough on the 28th. It's called green screen. I can send you what time, I can't remember if it's 9 or 10. And if you want to go, I went and looked at it last week, it looks a lot better, but still kind of the same. The color's a little different, but it seems to be a better fit. And, they were finishing up, they still had some of their scraps on the ground, you know, so. As far as I can tell, they're pleased with it, we're gonna do a final walkthrough and see. It's good, it's good to go.
Would we expect a closeout of that project by the end of the year?
Yes,
Okay.
that's my goal, it's their goal.
Okay.
They want to get paid, we want to be done with it, so that's, I hope, you know.
And then Carrie, to that, will we get a financial kind of recap at the end? You know, that project, I guess at the beginning was, you know, more debt than we took out in 30 years. So I'm looking for the project cost, you know, how much under budget, what's unspent, what our plans are, if anything's unspent, whether it's to pay back the debt, those kind of, I don't know if we'll get a financial recap at some point.
You will, because you will need to decide what you want to do with those funds.
Okay.
Thank you. Jail report, we have 586 individuals in our jail right now, 89 of those are female, and out of those 7 are in children's. It's 84% felons, 12% misdemeanor cases. Do we have any county insurance items? Executive, let me go back to number 11, sale of county property. For discussion only, to consider offering certain county-owned property for sale, and if necessary and appropriate, to convene a closed meeting regarding the same.
One comment, the 89 is what happened, you know, 7 more hours.
Oh, okay, okay, thank you.
We're full.
Yeah. Okay, Ted. How do we proceed?
Well, if you want to have a closed meeting, agree. Item B, and we can adjourn.
Do we need a closed meeting?
It's hard to know until you get into discussion. Probably, I think there's a question conceptually, do you want to consider selling the property? I don't think that's a closed meeting. But if you decide conceptually that you're interested in looking at that, then a closed meeting might be appropriate. There are 3 ways to sell the property: through a broker, public auction, or CBA. I don't know what else we discussed. Those things are not.
Yeah, because all 3 of those ways, we can't set any kind of price. And that's what we're worried about.
Well, conceptually, do you want to sell?
Right, we can do that, you can do that.
Yes.
Yeah, I would only add that you can only go to closed session if discussion in open session would damage the county's negotiating position with respect to the sale. Right now, you're just in a position to decide whether you want to try to sell it or not. And even so, the agenda item is only discussing, so you're not taking action.
Right.
So what are we, looking at as far as, in selling properties? Is that something that, what we can do? Is it something that, we foresee on the horizon that, by maintaining it, is gonna benefit the county?
Well, to Scott's point, you know, where it does meet closed session, and Scott, keep me honest, there's in terms of if there are discussions that might jeopardize negotiation of that does warrant a closed session discussion. Did I hear that correctly?
Right. Really, I think you're probably not in closed session territory until you start evaluating potential purchasers. At this point, the agenda item only covers an initial discussion whether you want to try to sell the property.
Would you say that Mrs. Jennings' request to the court in terms of a potential purchaser would meet that criteria?
I think if there was an action item to consider setting the terms of the sale, the price, then yes, you would be in the area where you want to go to the executive session. Right now, you don't have an agenda item to support that. It's just, is there a consensus on the court that the property should be offered for sale?
And when the Jennings approached me about it, I told them, so there's no guarantee that you'll get the bid or you'll get the purchase. But my thought is that I think it's time that we consider selling the property. It's sat there for 20-some years probably or more. And it could be used if they want to develop it.
Back on the tax roll.
Back on the tax roll. It could benefit the community. Now, it will be within the tier zone, so there's gonna be some reduction in the tax level that we'll get, but tiers 1's gonna be over in 17 years. So it's amazing how fast that goes by.
Yeah, and I mean, I would add some commentary. You know, I have traditionally spoken to the stance of looking at that property just like you would look at property you own yourself. And the tiers 1 agenda item that we had even this morning definitely speaks to the direction moving that way. My own personal feeling is I would give it a year. I'd give it 6 months. I would take a look of the lay of the land of downtown as everything is opening up, because we happen to own that property. Not only is it that one, we own several pieces of property. So I would agree with you, Commissioner Church, is we don't want to have land just to have it. That's not being good stewards. And so maybe we take a holistic look at everything we own. There's a few pieces of property that we don't. But I also know that the judge is putting us in a direction to strategically look at the county. And I don't want to move too many chips until we really know where we're headed with all of our property. It is fairly insignificant in terms of the tax rolls. It's not a huge piece of property. But what will happen with the Globe News Center, which we heard about today, will be a driver to how much that land is worth. What will happen with Mr. Young's project will be a driver what that land is worth. So that only means the land is gonna go up. And so if we sell, in my opinion, I feel like we're selling early. But again, I am one vote on this court, but it is the stance I've traditionally taken on that piece of property because it sits very unique. And even in terms, I'm sorry.
So, if we hold tight and look at this, let's say 12 months, Commissioner Church, is there any reason why that would, have a detrimental effect on, maybe not on this particular whole buyer, but on any buyer that's out there that, county in a negative light?
We already have a sizable investment in parts of that block. If you're an investor, you bought property, those buildings, one's already burned. And so they've lost an investment already. And we continue to drag our feet. I just think that we are slowing down the development process. I thought that's, at least in my mind, I think that that's what we want to encourage, and especially since it's residential that they're talking about. And that's one of the things within the comprehensive plan for the city that's, that has not been developed. So, I don't know, you said, what would you do if it was your property? It's not making me any money sitting there. It probably, the difference, if you sold it today and you sell it a year from now, you'll pay the interest on the money.
So would it be appropriate, maybe we ask Pratt if it hit the tax rolls, how much value would this really bring? So we can have scale, right? If part of the argument is, it could be on the tax rolls, maybe let's look at what that value might be.
It's not just the land, it's the building that's gonna be on the land. That's gonna be on the tax roll.
Come to the court 3 or 4 times asking, so I know they're serious.
Oh, yeah, no, I did not disagree with that.
They're dead serious about doing this, and so, whether we do it now or 6 months from now.
So in delaying, would it have any negative effect on this county, and see exactly where we're looking at as far as the growth in the downtown area? Would it be more enhanced for schools? I mean, it's not gonna, that that future prospect of desiring the project is not gonna go away.
It's
In
not,
fact, the project is gonna enhance it. So.
especially for
it's
those that
important
live
for us to just kind of.
As long as we're so unpredictable, that we're just holding this, the less likely it is.
you think, I don't know, I think it's gonna
How many
go.
times have we been asked and we said, well, we gotta wait it. We're not ready, we can't make a decision.
We keep telling them we're gonna wait, we keep telling them we're gonna wait.
Oh, well.
Well, considering the growth of this, this one and, what they're continuing to bring forward, enhancing this area, I don't think it's going to have, effect of people, 6 months, I don't think, well, I think it's gonna increase the interest.
And this last time, she had a conceptual design of what they're gonna do. And that helped me, because I now know what we're gonna do, and it's gonna benefit to the other one, it won't be on the tax roll, we'll make money on it, even after the sale.
So are you, with both the comments, Judge and Commissioner Church, you're entertaining the sale to a sole purchaser?
Which
No, we can't do this.
Right, but based on the comments is where the direction is headed, so if we're banking on the fact that one person owns the land all around it, but we're gonna take it out for bid, you know, I think we need to.
Well, you don't have to take out a bid, you can go to a
Super
broker, or, yeah. That too is part of the decision.
Are we moving because of the interest of this, one individual that, not to say that that's where we're going, as far as, being or like that, but that's pushing the lever we could. Okay.
I would say so, would you say that's the discussion happening?
6 months ago, I said sell the property, but after the last few meetings that we've had and what we discovered about interest in what's going on in 10th Street, I think 6 months to a year might not be a bad thing to wait, just to see if the increase might happen to that property. And I think it very well could, because if these other projects get going, I think Logan's Center, obviously there's interest in that building.
Especially what they're really doing, I think they alluded to that they're looking, so, it might be more prudent,
Well, that's my thoughts anyway.
We'll see in 6 months, I'll be sure to bring it back. Better be another 6 months.
To the end of May.
well, I said a year, but I mean, that's.
So you said 6 months. Okay. All right, no action taken. No executive session, agenda items for next time.
Judge, we do have a LGC meeting this Thursday, so if we can put that on, and then, a save the date for Fire County Government Day 2019. So that'll be a quick agenda item, just so everybody has the date on their calendar. Those are the only two I have.
And just for the record on the LGC, as of January, can I be on that?
Sure.
Trade places.
Well, do we need to bring that to the court for a motion, maybe add that for an agenda item? Okay.
The other thing I was gonna let the court know, so you're not taken by surprise, Julie and I have been in communication, we're probably gonna keep the official bonds item on the agenda as bonds come
Okay,
in,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
that'll be kind of a running item until.
You know, after all these years, you think we know how to do it, every time it comes up, we get it all.
We just don't do it often, so.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Okay.
Maybe next time I'll bring in our.
Okay, anything else? If nothing else, we are adjourned.